Welcome to this short introduction to Overton, the Policy Citation Index. Overton is the world's largest policy database, currently including more than 12 million policy documents which are full-text indexed. We demonstrate and track academic literature to policy citations and policy to other policy citations. Our users tend to be IGOs and NGOs, universities, think tanks, research funders and publishers, and they use us to discover where their work is influencing policy. There are lots of different uses for Overton, but we're going to focus on the two main strands, which are using Overton to understand policy influence as a citation tool. You can report on where research is cited in policy, see research authors who are cited in policy. You can see people who are mentioned in policy, so they may have given verbal evidence or contributed to a committee, but haven't published a scholarly article to be cited. You can use Overton data for funding applications, case studies, grants, and other reporting functions, and it really helps researchers understand and evidence their policy influence. The other main strand for Overton is as a discovery tool for research and teaching. You can use it to access policy documents from around the world, to review policy to identify research gaps and collaborators, to support grey literature searching for systematic and scoping reviews, and to help students see where topics they are learning about are being mentioned in current policy. You can also find case studies for teaching showing where research has informed policy. Overton defines a policy document as any document written for or by policymakers, which gives us a broad view of the policy landscape. We collect policy documents from government and official bodies, IGOs, NGOs, and think tanks. A policy source is a website where policy documents are harvested, and some sources contain documents from many organisations. For example, the Publications Office of the European Union is our policy source and is the website, but it contains documents published from multiple different organisations, including the Joint Research Centre and the General Court. Another example would be the UK government, where the different organisations would be the different departments, like the Department of Health and Social Care. We cover 190 countries and territories with over 2,100 sources and more than 31,000 organisations, and most sources are checked weekly for new documents. We are language agnostic, so documents are indexed, analysed and searchable in all languages. Titles and descriptions are translated into English, and the documents are full text searchable in the language it is written in. We just don't translate the actual documents themselves. There are lots of different types of document. These are the main ones. So we have government documents, white papers, hearing transcripts, technical reports, committee reports, position statements, policy briefs, educational materials and clinical guidelines, and blog posts, among many others. In terms of data coverage, pre-2012, we consider it patchy due to the availability of documents on the web. From 2012 to 2015, our coverage is good, and from 2015 onward, we consider it comprehensive. In terms of processing the policy documents, we process the full text of the policy documents, identifying references, people and topics, and linking policy documents to scholarly research, think tank output, and other policy. There are three main search modes, which we're going to go through in these videos. The first is searching the policy documents by topic, institution, research funder, and others. You can also use the People tab to find people whose scholarly research has been cited or who have been mentioned in policy. or you can use the Search Scholarly Articles tab to find the scholarly articles which have been cited in policy. You can explore the search results using lots of different filters and lots of different ways of sorting, and you can export the results in various file types as well. So with that, we're going to go on to some demonstrations. Now we've gone through the data that Overton contains and a little bit of an introduction, we're going to demonstrate how to actually search it. So we're going to go through the 3 different tabs in Overton. So we've got Search Policy Documents, Search People, and Search Scholarly Articles. So you can search Overton in exactly the same way you would search an academic database. You can use your keywords, you can use titles, you can use Boolean searching as well. So we will use just a little search term and search policy. So it looks very similar to a lot of other academic databases. You can see we've got about almost 5,000 results for that particular search query, and we've got our filters along the left-hand side. Now, if you have an institutional subscription, the institution that you belong to will be at the top, so it's a quick way of filtering things to see just your own institution's policy impact. And then you have lots of other filters as well. I'm only going to highlight a few of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you've got key sources, which we can customize for you depending on what you consider your key source. You've got document type. So if you were looking at doing a systematic review in healthcare especially, you can limit things down to clinical guidance only. That's a big time saver for a systematic review. You have your source countries and territories and years of publication or added. You've got tags on the sources. You also have related to SDG, that's Sustainable Development Goals, and cites work from funder. Now both of these are quite useful in including in funding and grant applications. You'll be able to see what the funders are already funding and look at how that informs research, and the same with Sustainable Development Goals. So we think they're really useful features for that aspect of research. You've got Cites Policy Source and news outlets and others. So there's lots of filters to play around with depending on what you're looking to use Overton for. I would say systematic reviews and information for funding grants and applications are very useful for that. So if we scroll up and explore the actual policy documents in a little bit more detail, you can see that we've got quite a few here. You've got the option to save the search. Again, that's if you have an account with us. You can see a report, which we'll go into a bit later, and you can export the results into Excel, CSV, or RIS files. So lots of options here. And the Explore button helps you go from a list of results to a little bit more in depth. So I might just want to see the people mentioned or cited in this document. It would be a long list. I might want to see the scholarly research that these documents cite. Again, that would be a very long list without adding more filters to it. So what we'll do is explore a policy document in a little bit more detail. So if we click on the title here, you can see that this policy document is cited by a lot of other policy documents, and this document cites 6 scholarly articles. So we're very clear about the difference here, that we use the word articles for scholarly research and documents for policy documents, and that will be consistent throughout the platform. You can see the topics in this document, where it cites its research from, and the research is funded by these particular bodies. So the Medical Research Council, the ESRC, the Wellcome Trust. So we can see the funders there. In terms of citations, we can explore the 23 other policy documents which cite this document. So it's a useful way of daisy chaining your way from one document to another. And we can also see names that have been mentioned that have been recognised. So I could quick view that section to see what my reference is or how I've been mentioned there as well. So if we scroll down, you've got policy documents are always marked by a red bar, and scholarly articles are marked by a blue bar. So that's a nice little feature there. And we can highlight articles. We can read the articles. That will take us out of Overton and to the article in question. And we can highlight policy documents as well. In terms of the actual policy document, you can download the PDF. If there's more than one PDF, they will be in a list here. You could also link out to it on its original source website as well. We can also see a report on these documents. So if I want to see a report on the policy documents which cite this document, I can click on that and we can see the spread across, it's mainly IGOs, the UK, the publication years, policy source types, and the funders of the cited research. We've got policy topics, cited institutions, and again, the one that you belong to will always be on top, even if numerically it isn't. And policy subject areas and the SDG that it belongs to as well. So a useful little snapshot of information which you can save or share across your institution. And again, you can tag this as a way of coming back to it later. But if we scroll back, we can explore the reporting function as well in a little bit more detail. So if I narrow things down a bit to just documents connected to the University of Arizona, and then have a look at seeing a report, I can see a little bit more information here. So the document count is much higher. I can see the publication years. It's relatively increased in 2019, and then there was a gap, potentially COVID related, who knows, and then it's been increasing again. I can see the funders, again that can inform a grant application, policy sources, topics, publishers, and it's relatively consistent in format, so the report format stays the same generally throughout. And you can see again lots of different SDG categories there. Quite a lot of them relate to each other. So that is reporting, and we will nip out of there. And again, we can save this search and come back to it later, or rerun a search. So very useful if you want to do a systematic review in that case. So that is everything I want to explore with Policy Document tab. We'll go on to the Search People tab and then the Scholarly Articles tab after that. So we're going to move on to the People tab now. So we've done our search for our key terms and we're connected to the University of Arizona. I could look at the authors from the University of Arizona being cited frequently or are mentioned by name in these results, so specifically matching that key search term, or I can explore the People tab in a little bit more detail. So if we go into the People tab, you can search an individual name, or you can enter a list of names, and this list can be a mixture of both free text or a researcher ID like an ORCID. So if I add those, we've got 3 names and somebody's ORCID. So if I search for the names, it is searching all documents in Overton for the names supplied on the list. Now, as you can see, there are multiple instances of those names. So these people have all worked at other institutions besides the University of Arizona. So we do not create personal research profiles, but if you wanted to explore a particular person and you knew that this person was the same person, so let's say this Diana and this Diana, I know they're exactly the same person, I can select both of them and see the policy documents connected to those people, that person. So I can see, let's see, 27 and 15, I can see all of those documents together. I could also export all the names to a CSV file. I could save the search for these particular names. So if I wanted to look at the output for an entire group, maybe a research group, this is what I'd do. I'd search a list of names, make sure I've selected the right people, and explore those policy documents. So these 56 people, if I know that each profile is actually the same person, then great. If I select those two plus Stephen, that was our ORCID ID, I can explore the documents in a bit more detail. So let's have a look at the policy documents linked to those selected people. I can see we've got over 1,000 results. So these people are prolific authors and have been cited in quite a lot of policy documents. And again, the same features that we explored in the policy documents tab are present throughout. So you've got your save search button, your see report, your export results, and explore even further. So again, you can daisy chain your way across research fields and documents here. So we can scroll down and see plenty of documents there. If I want to go back and just look at their scholarly research, I can do that as well. So let's select those again, explore, and then we've got scholarly articles. So again, we'll select there, and this time we've got scholarly articles here and the publication, the policy document which cited them. So we can scroll down and see lots of scholarly articles here. And this particular one is cited by more than one policy. So when it comes to citations, anything that says, for example, here we've got cited by 6, that means this scholarly article has been cited by 6 policy documents. It doesn't take into account other scholarly articles that cite this scholarly article. It is purely looking at policy document citations. So if I wanted to look a little bit more into this, I could click that number 6 and see all of the policy documents which cited that scholarly article. So we can see planetary health, identifying a safe and just corridor. And again, this policy citing that scholarly work as well. So it's a way of exploring each policy document which cited your work. If this was you as an individual author or a group of researchers together. So we can scroll back again once more. And really, that is the gist of the People tab. Relatively straightforward. You can see that there are highlights of topics and particular key sources. So these ones, the UK government a lot, the UK Parliament Select Committee, and you can see a peak of years as well, and the percentage of sources that are citing these people as well. So that's relatively straightforward in terms of searching for people. You could also explore scholarly articles connected to a person, but that will be in the scholarly articles tab. Finally, we're going to explore the Search Scholarly Articles tab. So you can use keywords, you can use your search strings just as you did for policy documents and just as you would for an academic database. But you can also search by groups of DOIs. And what this can be particularly useful for is adding another layer to your systematic review. So if you've done a search and you've applied all your filters and you've done that in an academic database, and export the list of results that you've got, you can export those DOIs and add them to Overton and search them here. So I've got a list of DOIs and search for these identifiers. So we've got 56 out of 57 of the articles that I've searched for. And what this means is that out of those 57 scholarly articles, 56 of them have been cited in policy. There's one academic article in there somewhere which hasn't been cited in policy yet. So what I can do here is save that search and then rerun it. And you can see here that we've got a lot of scholarly articles that say they've been cited by one. That's cited by one policy document. So there's lots of them here and they all seem to be relatively straightforward. They'll all be similar subject area. They're the ones that we've identified from our academic database as scholarly articles that we are interested in our systematic review. So what we can do then to add a layer to this systematic review is go into Explore and see the policy citing these papers. So we know they'll be relevant to our topic area because they've been cited. So here we've got almost 600 policy documents which have cited one of the scholarly articles that we have searched for and identified as relevant to our subject area. So I think it's a really useful way of adding depth, adding breadth to a research topic and a systematic review. So again, if we scroll down, we've got all of these policy documents and we've got the scholarly article that they've cited. And we can tag those, we can download the PDFs. And again, if we wanted to save these policy documents, we can export those to an RAS file as well to add them to our reference list, our bibliography, or any citation software that we have. So we can explore these a little further and daisy chain even more, but searching for scholarly articles using DOIs is a really fantastic way of enhancing your systematic review and looking for grey literature and enhancing grey literature searching using the methods that you already use in academic databases. And again, you've got filters that you can use and apply on the left-hand side as well. So that is a very quick, brief introduction to Overton. There are lots of little features and tags and filters that you can apply and play with that I haven't gone through, but that gives you a really good overview of how to use it and some of the examples of what you can use it for. Thank you for watching this demonstration. If you want to learn more, please check out our help pages or email us at support@overton.io. Thank you very much.